Hey guys, how are you guys? So, I know a lot of you guys have been like crazy about this Nipsey thing, or at least, some of you don't feel like it settles well on your heart. And I just wanted to say to you guys that um, I met Nipsey October 31st, which was 6 months from March 31st, the day that he had passed. And the day that I met Nip, I knew it was something different. I knew he was coming to the club that I was at, Prohibition in Riverside. And I never been so groupie about a celebrity, but I always admired Nipsey and his relationship with Lauren London, and they were actually my goals. And I really don't do the relationship goal things, or I don't idolize celebrities or things like that. But there was something about Nipsey and Hussle and their spirit that I kind of um, admired. So, anyways, that day I ended up going to the bar, in which I never do. And when I went to the bar, I had ran directly into Nipsey and his crew. And as I had ran into him, I didn't even realize it was Nipsey. And when I looked up, I just remember this strong lion type pose. It was just so mighty. And my body reached out and I just rubbed his arm from the top all the way down. And I was like, oh my gosh, Nipsey. And I remember taking a glimpse up and seeing Lauren behind him and like maybe his bodyguard, but another guy. I didn't see a lot of people with him, only a few. Anyways, long story short, that touch that I had at the club when I met Nipsey was significant and symbolic to me. I just don't know why. I do read the Bible, and it kind of reminds me of that person that touched Jesus and was healed. And I'm not comparing Nipsey to Jesus. Jesus, or the concept of Jesus, is a Messiah. A Messiah is a messenger, and I will say that Nipsey did have a message. I do believe we only have one Messiah that is coming, and he is coming from Israel, the tribes of Jacob, the descendants, Israel and Judah, the nation that was separated into two. Um, and seized by the Assyrians and Babylonians, the king Nebuchadnezzar of the Babylonian Empire. So, anyways, I do know that God has sent many messengers, but we're waiting on the last and final messenger. So I do not believe, to clear that up, that Nipsey was the Messiah, but I do believe that this was an event. And please listen to me. This was an event of the spiritual warfare that we have with the higher powers. And because they are deceiving the nation, they don't know who the Messiah is. But they know that the Messiah will come out of Israel, the kingdom of Judah. To say that is to say that the higher powers and the powers of this world that are governed by the 13 bloodlines of Satan are the ones that run the world. And these characters are hidden behind what I would say a pyramid type hierarchy, and starting with queens and kings on down the line from the creators um, of this all the way down to the pawns. And I relate that to the game of chess. That is what we are against. The creators of those that are playing a global chess with God's people, or people in general. And they are the shepherds and we are the sheeple. And the goal is to deceive the entire world and bring amongst us an antichrist that we believe, because of deception, is the Messiah. Okay? Let that sink in. This is a bigger picture. We are in a spiritual warfare. We are fighting spiritually against the demonic spirits of the world and the plans of the world according to the Hebrew scriptures. This is very much in relationship to why Nipsey was killed. Okay, you guys? And I hope you guys understand that. So I'm going to break it down even further. The powers that we are fighting against are secret societies that we only have some knowledge of. But secrets are always hidden via etymology. Okay? There's secrets hidden behind everything. And the true secret is that we have 7.8 or near roughly people in our world. Okay. And with that being said, 1/3 of those people are what we think are people are fallen angels. The fallen angels' goals are to deceive us. Okay. And when you take the number 1/3 and you look at it as 1 and a 3, you get the number 13. That is the 13 bloodlines of Satan, the descendants of Satan who run our world. Satan's goal is to gain power over the world. His goal is to mock our creator because, of course, that's what he wanted to be. That's why he was condemned. So, to bring this back to Nipsey Hussle. In 2017, Nipsey Hussle makes very clear that he signed to Atlantic Records. For many years, I think about 10, I believe he is kind of saying about 23 is when he kind of made some changes. I know he said he was put in jail in 2008. He made a record, he signed a deal back in 2008. But then again, with that, through his music, he talks about him being independent and holding the masters to all of his records and things of that such. So I'm not sure exactly, but I know that he did not sign his big deal until 2017, and that big deal was signed with Atlantic Records. Now, Atlantic Records is a corporate company that not only has its own rules and the way things are supposed to go, but they follow the rules of the elite. The elite are the illuminated people, the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the Druids, the Mariah. I mean, there's several. And these people are the people that are in control over the world, over the banks and things like that. And if you paid attention to the symbology that is being shown to you, you will understand that. And these people that created this system that involves money, root of all evil, and things like that are the descendants of the 13 bloodlines of Christ. Not of Christ, of Satan. And these people's goal is to deceive us in order for us to believe that the Antichrist is God. And without knowledge, you will continue to be deceived and be the sheeple, the 85%. Or in one thing I had seen, it's actually something like 90% of sheeple, 5% knows the truth. 5% knows the truth and wants to share it. 4% knows the truth and wants to keep it. And 1% are the creators of the deceptiveness of what the truth really is. So I hope you guys understood that. Now, the truth is, according to any research that you can do, is that there is some ancestral history in the continent of Africa. The melanated people, because race is not even a thing, but the melanated people, the people of color, hue, those people are the people that were the original people as far as what we can date back to history. And those people were amongst the continent of Africa, in which they have distorted and even given some to Asia and colonized and things like that. And were actually run by the Roman Empire, currently Egypt also. So the melanated people basically originated in Ethiopia. And Daniel in the Bible suggests who those people are as far as appearance. The thing that is being hidden is that the black male, the dark skinned race, the African people are different because they are the chosen people, the Jews, the tribes of Jacob. And these people worship the true God, the King of Israel, the Hebrew King. This Hebrew King, his name is known as Yahweh. The Messiah, his name is Yeshua. And my pronunciations may not be exact, but is the God of Moses that expresses that I am who I am. When Moses asked, who shall he say? These instructions to the Pharaoh of Egypt came from. So he describes himself as I am who I am. And I am is a powerful word. I am who I am. Well, this God of Hebrew is the God that the devil, Lucifer, Satan, whatever, wants to deceive the world and believe is not the true God. And the reason why the Black people are so important, or the melanated people, I'm saying Black because we as Americans and people worldwide now believes the terms of race, in which race is basically who you identify with. It's not necessarily a color, because a hue is a hue, which is a color. So it was man-made for inferior and superior reasons. Well, the reason why the Black people have been in severe psychological, physical, mental, many warfares is because the fight is against the people that belong to the true God of Israel. He is the God of the Hebrews. And the deception is the Pharaoh, the God of Egypt. Jeremiah 43:13 explains this deception. The deception comes out of the Egypt people, religion, the ones that believe in Amon Ra, Horus, Osiris, Isis, that existence. And the reason why they believe in that existence is because before times, even further than the times that we can date back to, as far as like anthropologists, philanthropists, whatever. The people, archaeologists, the people that kind of study these things, as far as we can date back, is Mesopotamian times. But on the scientific evolution type basis, we can date back to the Homo erectus, the Homo, what is it? Several of them. Do your research. And that is considered evolution. And that is basically the evolution of apes. The LUCA, I forget the abbreviations for it, but basically, if you look up LUCA, it's basically the ape ancestral history. And that goes back beyond the 5,000 years that we can date back as far as our time. And the furthest we can date back to is the Mesopotamian times. And during that time, there was Mesopotamians and there were Egyptians. And Abraham came out of the Mesopotamian Empire. And the Pharaoh came out of the Egyptian Empire. And when God's people, um, the Abrahamic um, lineage, when his people went into the Egyptians' people's practice and rituals, God condemned them. Jeremiah 43:13 has very good scriptural evidence of one of the times that the people of the nation of Israel were condemned by God for wanting to be a part of the Egyptian religion, in which the Egyptian religion is very similar to the Hebrew text and things and gospel in the manner that they mock it, right? The Egyptians mock what God basically instructs the Hebrew God. So the Egyptians have always been a big problem throughout history. And the higher powers of the world are the Egyptians, basically, to sum it up. They're the ones that are going against the true God, like Satan, and wanting to be their own gods. It makes sense. They want to be their own God. They think they have the power to be God. We have God within us, but we don't, and we are gods, right? But we are not God. And there's a supreme being, a monotheistic being that we serve as far as the Hebrew scriptures, and which are the most ancient scriptures that we can date back to. Everything that you know of came via the Hebrew scriptures. So most religions are all stemmed from that concept of who God was, and they took their own principles and concepts and laws and mocked it. But the true king, Yeshua, the Messiah, comes out of Israel. Now, I'm going to connect this back to Nipsey. Nipsey is of African descent. Nipsey is from Eritrea, which is a community that came from Ethiopians, where supposedly, as we know, life began. So if life began in Ethiopia, then those were the original people, the Africans, the jewels of God. So Nipsey being from, well, having lineage in Africa, and the leaders of our new world, America, being afraid because they know the truth and they are not God. So they don't know the truth as in what is really going to happen, or they do it in a way to evoke him. They base things off of Egyptian symbology and numerology, geometry. That G that you see means like God, geometry. It's like numbers and solar deities and things like that are what they base their decisions upon the world. They're worshiping the solar deities. And based on numbers and Nipsey's lineage was a big reason that the upper people felt that he was a threat, and it starts there. His dad was the first generation of Africans to come to America. Remember, the jewels of God have been scattered around the world, and America is the new world, the woman, the whore of Babylon. And Babylon is basically the Egyptians, the devils of the world, or the descendants from that kind of empire. And those were the ones that mocked God by following the Pharaoh's ways and worshiping other gods and things like that. So, to go back to that, Nipsey was a threat to the higher powers, them not knowing if he was potentially a Messiah. The Messiah is a messenger, and he will come from the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel are the Hebrews, the scattered tribes from the conqueror of the Assyrians, the two scattered tribes, and the tribes of Judah, which are the descendants of Jacob, with Nipsey being from Africa, Ethiopia, in the beginning of civilization. He was a threat. So the way that they came up with this information was means of numbers, Masonic gematria, Jewish gematria. The Roman Jews run the music worlds. The emblem of the Masons and Illuminati is astronomy, music. There's a host of them, about 7 different meanings in their emblem of what they stand for. So when Nipsey signed his deal in 2017, it is potentially the reason why, by numbers, he was considered what they called the crucifixion of Jesus by numbers. And what that means is his age, 33, it matched as far as numbers, numerology. His business numbers matched the time from his birthday, the time from his coming birthday, August 15th, from the time he died, matched in numbers. Everything according to the higher powers and their deceptive ways of being God, basing things off the way the sun moves around the earth and all of those kind of scientifical things, basically was the reason for his death. His numbers match their system, as simple as I can put it. It will be so difficult and so long for me to teach you or show you, but you have to do your research. So based on the evil powers of the world, which are the ones that run the world, the music industry, look at who those people are, and that's how you'll understand the higher powers. Based on their system of devilish wickedness, Nipsey matched the numbers of a Jesus type crucifixion. And that's why his numbers represent so much. Not only that, his age was a big significance. 33 is the number of many significant things in the world, or even us as persons. One thing in particular is 33 degrees is when ice turns into liquid, or the opposite, or the vice versa. 33 degrees, and remember, water is life, right? It's the point of who has control over life. 33 vertebrae in our spinal column that connects to the brain, which when these are aligned, we become into this divine presence. That is another reason for their 33 degree. They mock what God created, which is life. And the 33 president was a 33-degree Mason, Master Mason, the highest degree you can reach, which was Truman. And they still go by the significance of his history. Truman was the one that established the Marshall Plan, which allows the U.S., the new world, where the whore of Babylon will come from, the Antichrist. The U.S., what was I going to say? The U.S., I forgot what I was going to say about the U.S., but, okay, so, the U.S.'s way of taking over the world is by means of what Truman considered a Marshall Plan. That was like the beginning of how they realized they can take over the world. And in this Marshall Plan, basically what it does is when different countries are in distress and they have been destroyed by natural disaster, military disaster, whatever destruction, that's when the U.S. financially comes in and saves them. And then the US then forms a contract between them to say, hey, now we're buddies. You are basically a de facto, basically meaning like, even though you think you rule, we really rule over you. And that is the Marshall Plan. And that's the Marshall Plan to take over the world. And Truman also was a part of the New World Order. The New World Order is just basically considered a new era of things, which is like the system that we know now is completely a whole different system. The way that they base the world on when a new era is on the basis of the 12 zodiac signs. And every 2150 years, the sun reaches the March equinox, however you say that. And that's when a whole new zodiac and the beliefs in that age, which is the Aquarian age next, I believe, is the beginning of a new era, the new way of life. They think they're gods, okay? So the New World Order is basically the initiation of a new era. And the new era is based on solar deities and the zodiac, the 12 zodiac signs, like the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 zodiac signs. And we are leaving the Jesus era and we are going into the Aquarian era, which means they have to establish things in a different way. They have to create an antichrist before the Jesus era is over. Okay? Jesus, the word Jesus, is the Roman Jesus, the Roman Jew. Like, what the Romans did was took what people do in these nations to establish their sovereignty, their like royalty, is they steal from other nations, reestablish it their own, try to become better than the last one or whatever, and then someone sieges them, and then another person and other beliefs then come in or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, because my understanding may be so completely different than you guys's. What I'm trying to say is that we're in the end of times, and Nipsey Hussle's death was so much more significant than what we understand. And in the next about 131 years, which will be the end of the era of Jesus, they have to establish a new age, the descendants of Satan, basically, the ones that rule the world. So with this establishment, they have to bring upon everything that they ever taught you about what you know. The way that this works is, I'm doing a video. The way that this works is they base their New World Order on the constellations. The constellation and era that we're in is the Jesus era. The Great Deception is via Jesus. Nipsey was murdered because of a decoded number match, or a coded number match. And we are waiting on the Messiah. And the Messiah comes out of the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel are melanated people from the continent of Africa. Nipsey was a threat to the belief that a Messianic Messiah was coming from the nation of Israel, or the lineage of the people from that nation. Period. Dot. Okay? It's bigger than what you know. It's bigger than what you see. It's bigger. Now, if you guys are still interested in what I'm saying, I'm going to end this video and I'm going to break down as much as I can. Our God, Yahweh, says that people perish for lack of knowledge. I have degrees and credentials, and I have studied all my life.
Spilled the real tea.
So I wish you guys all love, peace, and
What's the tea?
happiness.
The real tea. When you hear tea, you can't tell nobody the tea, okay?